Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Most people don't even realize they're getting poorer right now, not because they're earning less, not because they're spending more, but because they're playing by the rules of a game that's already over. Imagine someone in 2026 trying to drive with a GPS from 5 years ago. The roads have changed, new highways have been built, old routes are closed, but they stubbornly follow the same path as before. That's exactly how most people are handling their money right now. And it's a disaster. Let me walk you through the 7 biggest mistakes people are making with money in 2026. These are not abstract errors. These are specific things that are stealing your money every single day, right now as you're reading this. Mistake 1, they're holding money the old way. Remember how your parents taught you to handle money? Put it in a savings account. Don't spend unnecessarily. Save for a rainy day. These were golden rules in their time. The problem is, the world has changed so radically that these rules can now bankrupt you. People still think that if they do the same things with money that their parents did or that they themselves did 5 years ago, they're safe. It's familiar, it's tested, it's comfortable. But here's the catch. Safety isn't about familiarity. Safety is about being aligned with reality. Take a simple example. 5 years ago, you could keep money in a regular checking account and feel okay about it. Interest rates were what they were. Inflation was predictable. Everything seemed stable. Today, keeping all your money in one regular account in one currency is like carrying all your eggs in one basket across an ice rink during an earthquake. The world has become volatile. Different economies are playing financial ping pong. Currencies are jumping around like crazy. Technology changes the rules of the game every 6 months. And if you think you can weather this storm by doing everything the old way, you're just slowly drowning without noticing the water. What are smart people doing? They're constantly reviewing their financial strategy. Not once every 5 years, not once a year. Every few months they ask themselves, is this tactic still working in current conditions? And this isn't paranoia, this is survival. Think about it. The average savings account in America right now might give you, maybe 4% if you're lucky? Meanwhile, real inflation, not the official numbers, but what you actually experience at the grocery store, at the gas pump, paying rent, is eating away at your purchasing power faster than your interest can compensate. Your money isn't growing, it's shrinking in slow motion. And here's what kills me. People know this. Deep down, they know something's off. But they stick with the familiar because changing feels scary, so they watch their financial foundation slowly crumble while telling themselves, at least my money's safe in the bank. Mistake 2, confusing income with financial stability. Here's a classic 2026 picture. Someone's making good money, maybe even great money. They look at their account at the end of the month and think, okay, money's there, I'm doing fine, everything's under control. And this is a massive illusion. Income isn't the same thing as financial stability. Income is just water flowing into your bathtub. Financial stability is the ability of that bathtub to stay full even when someone suddenly turns off the tap. You know how many people with 6-figure salaries are living paycheck to paycheck? Tons. Because they never thought about resilience. They built their entire life exactly to their income level. Every dollar is allocated, every percentage is accounted for. And it works until the first hiccup. And hiccups in 2026 are the new normal. Companies restructure, industries shift, technology automates professions. What seemed like a reliable income source in January can evaporate by June. And if you don't have a buffer, you're immediately in the red zone. I know a guy, let's call him Mike, who was pulling in $180K a year working in tech. Nice apartment in Austin, leased Tesla, ate out 4 times a week, premium everything. His budget was tight, but he was making it work. Then his company did layoffs. Suddenly Mike's looking at his bank account with maybe 2 months of runway, realizing he has no idea how to downsize fast enough to avoid disaster. The kicker? Mike thought he was financially successful because he had a high income. He confused the water flowing in with actual water stored. He wasn't building a reservoir. He was just watching water flow through. What does this mean in practice? Having income is just the beginning. The real question is, if this income disappears tomorrow, how long can I last? If the answer is a week or a month, you don't have financial stability, you have a financial illusion. Smart people in 2026 aren't just building income, they're building systems. They have emergency funds covering at least 6 months of expenses. They have multiple income streams, not just one. They have Plan B, Plan C, and ideally Plan D, because the world doesn't forgive betting everything on one card anymore. Mistake 3, underestimating the effect of inflation. Here's a riddle for you. Someone had $1 million at the start of the year. At the end of the year, they still have $1 million. Question, did they preserve their money? Most people would say yes, and they'd be completely wrong, because money isn't a number on a screen. Money is what you can buy with it. And if that million bought you a certain set of goods and services at the beginning of the year, But by year's end, that same million buys you less. You lost money, just invisibly. Inflation in 2026 isn't some abstract figure from the news. It's a silent thief stealing a portion of your money every single day. And most people don't even notice it because they're looking at numbers, not reality. Someone looks at their account. Oh, I've got $100,000 sitting there. Great, I've got a cushion. But they forget to ask, what could I buy with this $100,000 a year ago? What can I buy now? What will I be able to buy in a year? And the difference can be shocking. Let's take a simple example. Look at your grocery bill from 2021. Look at it now in 2026. Look at rent prices. Look at healthcare costs. Look at car insurance. Everything that was one price in 2021 is something completely different in 2026. But if someone just looks at the sum in their account and thinks, my money's intact, they're fooling themselves. Their purchasing power is melting like snow in spring. Here's the brutal truth. The official inflation numbers, they're fairy tales. They don't account for what you actually spend money on. They use formulas that were designed to make the numbers look better, not to reflect your reality. The government might tell you inflation was 3% last year, but your actual cost of living might have jumped 8% or 10%. What are smart people doing? They're thinking in terms of capabilities, not numbers. They don't ask, how much money do I have? They ask, how many months of life do I have at current prices? And they're constantly looking for ways not just to preserve money, but to preserve its purchasing power. That means getting money working in assets that can actually keep pace with real inflation. That means being strategic about where every dollar sits. Because every dollar in a regular savings account is a dollar that's slowly losing the race. Mistake 4, taking on obligations. At the limit, modern life is the kingdom of monthly payments, mortgage, car payment, student loans, credit card minimum payments, Netflix, Spotify, HBO Max, Disney Plus, gym membership, phone bill, internet, insurance. And you know what most people do? They calibrate these obligations right up to their income level. No buffer, no margin. Okay, I make $8,000 a month. My obligations are $7,200. That leaves $800 for life. That works? No, that doesn't work. That's a disaster that just hasn't happened yet. Because life isn't linear. Expenses aren't fixed. One month you need dental work. Another month your car needs new tires. Another month your utility rates go up. And if you have no cushion, every single one of these moments becomes a crisis. But that's only half the problem. The other half is that obligations have a tendency to grow. Interest rates can change. Service prices get indexed. What costs X today might cost 1.2X tomorrow. And if you're living at the limit, you have no room to maneuver. I've watched people whose entire budget collapsed because one payment increased by 5%, because everything was calculated to the penny. No reserve means no flexibility. No flexibility means any change becomes a body blow. And here's what really gets me: credit card debt. Americans are carrying record levels of credit card debt in 2026, and the average interest rate is insane. We're talking 20%, 25%, even 30% APR. People are making minimum payments thinking they're handling it, not realizing they're on a treadmill that's slowly bankrupting them. Smart people in 2026 live by the 70-30 or even 60-40 rule. That means their fixed obligations eat up maximum 60-70% of their income. The rest is breathing room, space for life, buffer for the unexpected. Yes, it means living more modestly than you could technically afford. But it also means sleeping at night without financial anxiety crushing your chest. Mistake 5, postponing financial decisions. I'll figure out my finances when I get my bonus. I'll sit down and plan everything once this project is done. New year, new me, I'll start fresh in January. Sound familiar? This is called financial procrastination, and in 2026, it costs more than ever before, because the world doesn't wait until you're ready. While you're postponing the decision to refinance your debt, interest is accumulating. While you're postponing reviewing your portfolio, markets are moving. While you're postponing the conversation with your bank about better terms, you're overpaying. Every day of delay is money you're losing, opportunities you're missing, risks you're not closing. And here's what's interesting. Most people don't postpone financial decisions because of laziness. They postpone because of fear. Fear of facing the truth, fear of admitting something's wrong, fear of change. But in unstable times, and 2026 definitely qualifies, inaction isn't a neutral position. Inaction is a decision to let circumstances decide for you. And usually circumstances don't decide in your favor. Think about student loans. There are people who have been meaning to look into refinancing or income-driven repayment plans for years. Meanwhile, they're hemorrhaging money on interest they don't need to be paying. Or investments, people who know they should rebalance their 401k, who know their asset allocation doesn't match their age and risk tolerance anymore, but they just haven't gotten around to it. And the market doesn't care about your good intentions. What do smart people do? They schedule specific time for finances. Not sometime, not when I have time, but every week on a specific day at a specific time. 1 hour for finances. Check accounts, assess the situation, make decisions, act. Because here's the secret. Financial management isn't something you do once and forget. It's a practice, like exercise or meditation. You have to keep showing up or you lose ground. Mistake 6, overestimating job stability. I have a good job. I'm a valued professional. The company's solid. My salary is stable. All of this might have been true a few years ago, but the world has changed. And one of the most dangerous illusions of 2026 is the illusion of stable employment. Not because all employers are bad, not because the economy is definitely going to crash, but because risks have become systemic. Artificial intelligence is automating professions faster than people can retrain. Companies are reorganizing, optimizing, transforming. Entire industries are changing their operating models. What seemed like a secure profession 5 years ago might be in the danger zone today. And I'm not talking about some fringe occupations. I'm talking about perfectly respectable middle-class professions. Look at what's happened in just the last year or two. AI tools that can write code, analyze legal documents, create marketing content, even read medical scans. That's not sci-fi anymore. That's Tuesday. And every one of those capabilities threatens someone's job security. But here's the problem. People are still building their entire financial life around a single income source. The whole life revolves around that paycheck. All plans are based on the assumption that this paycheck will always be there. And when something changes, and in 2026 something is always changing, the whole house of cards collapses. I know people who worked for the same company for 15 years, thought they were untouchable, and then got restructured out in a single afternoon. Their entire financial reality imploded because they had built everything on one foundation, and that foundation crumbled. Smart people diversify. They have their main job, but they also have other sources. Maybe it's freelance work on the side. Maybe it's a small passive income stream. Maybe it's investments generating cash flow. Maybe it's a side business they're building. These don't have to be big. They just have to exist. Because if you depend on one income source for 100% of your money, losing that source means losing 100% of your income. But if you have 3 sources, each providing a third, losing one means losing only a third. The difference is enormous. And frankly, in 2026, if you're not actively thinking about your Plan B income, you're behind. Not paranoid, behind. Mistake 7, not rebuilding their financial picture. Here's the most insidious mistake of all. People grow, their incomes grow, their obligations grow, their expenses grow, their lives get more complex, but their financial thinking stays at the same level it was 5 years ago. When you're 25 with one salary, no debt, and a rented apartment, your finances are simple. Write down income, write down expenses, done. But when you're 35 with a family, a mortgage, a car payment, maybe kids, maybe aging parents, multiple income sources, investments, insurance policies, your finances aren't a simple spreadsheet anymore. They're a complex system. And here's the problem. Most people try to manage this complex system with the same simple methods they used before. It's like trying to fly a Boeing with a PlayStation controller. Technically, something moves, but disaster is inevitable. Your financial model needs to grow with your life. If 5 years ago you could get by just saving 10% of your income, today that might be catastrophically inadequate. If before you could keep all your money in one currency, now that might be dangerously risky. Life has changed. The world has changed. Conditions have changed. But most people are still living by a financial model that was built for a different reality. Think about it. If you got married, had kids, bought a house, and took on a bunch of new responsibilities, but you're still managing money the same way you did when you were single in your 20s, something's badly wrong. Your strategy hasn't evolved to match your reality. What do smart people do? They conduct regular financial audits, not just looking at numbers, but asking big questions. Is my current strategy adequate for my current goals and risks? Does my financial model match my actual life? If I were building my financial strategy from scratch today, would it look like this? And if the answer is no, they rebuild. Not patch holes, not tweak details. They rebuild the entire model for the new reality. They look at everything. Their emergency fund. Is it still the right size? Their debt structure. Could they refinance at better rates? Their investment allocation. Does it match their age and risk tolerance? Their insurance coverage. Are they overinsured or underinsured? Their estate planning. Do they even have a will? Their tax strategy. Are they leaving money on the table? This isn't a weekend project. This is serious work, but it is work that pays massive dividends because it aligns your financial machinery with your actual life instead of leaving you running on autopilot toward a cliff. So what do you actually do? The biggest mistake of 2026 is living with money as if the world hasn't changed. Continuing to play by old rules in a game where the rules have fundamentally shifted. Want to survive financially in this new reality? Accept a simple truth. Safety isn't in doing what's familiar. Safety is in doing what's appropriate. And what's appropriate today looks completely different from 5 years ago. Review your strategies, build resilience. Think in purchasing power, not numbers. Leave yourself room to maneuver. Don't postpone decisions. Diversify your risks, and regularly update your financial model. Because the world isn't going to wait for you to adapt. It's already moving forward. The only question is whether you're moving with it or trying to stand still while slowly losing the money you worked so hard to earn. Look, I get it. Change is uncomfortable. Admitting that your current approach isn't working is hard. Taking action requires energy and focus and time you probably feel like you don't have. But here's the thing. The discomfort of changing your financial approach is temporary. The pain of financial crisis because you didn't change, that can last years, decades even. You don't have to revolutionize everything overnight. Start small. Pick one thing from this list. Maybe it's finally building that emergency fund. Maybe it's having an honest conversation about your debt. Maybe it's opening that side income stream you've been thinking about. Maybe it's just scheduling 1 hour this weekend to really look at where your money's going. One thing, this week. Because in 2026, standing still is the same as moving backwards. And you've worked too hard to let that happen.